there! Today we will be evaluating the novels Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston and Beloved by Toni Morrison. We will also take a look at the historicism school of criticism and how both of the authors expressed that school of criticism into their works. This presentation is by Ross Cherlin, Jagdeep Diol, Sylvie Sparks, and Victoria Tran. Enjoy!
Qualities of African American literature. African American literature explores the roles of African Americans within American society. What distinguishes it from other fiction that may include African American characters is the authenticity of the experiences of African Americans and the inclusion of cultural, spiritual, social, and political details that are unique to the lives of African Americans. Stories are based on real life and historical events that pertain to African Americans. Although slavery is more of an American topic, several stories touch on slavery and freedom. Most of them include a message of gospel, biblical allusions, and other musical or poetic elements. They focus a lot on growing up Black in America and reference race, color, and ethnicity. The tone is often casual and conversational with use of dramatic and evocative language. African American literature is its own distinct form of fiction and history that is different from any other.
Now we're going to look at one quality of African American literature in the story Their Eyes Were Watching God. One very important quality that is seen in Their Eyes Were Watching God is that it explores the roles of African Americans within American society, specifically based around the idea of power. During the Harlem Renaissance, many African American writers sought for new ways to gain power in the white dominant world. This is seen through Hurston's characters. Nanny's idea is that her granddaughter should marry a wealthy man so that she does not have to worry about her financial security. Janie believes that a person's power is derived not from their material possessions, but from their personal experiences and their manner of relating to others. Now let's look over some of the qualities of African American literature seen in the story Beloved.
Taking a look at the story Beloved, Toni Morrison embeds qualities into the plotline that are similar to Hurston's Their Eyes Were Watching God, such that the story Beloved showcases the roles of African Americans within society.
This is because the entire book revolves around the topic of slavery. However, Morrison also incorporates a spiritual aspect in the story, which is a distinct feature of African American literature. The spiritual side of the story is seen when Sethe kills her daughter to prevent her from becoming a slave. After this, she believes that her small house in Cincinnati has become haunted by the ghost of her former daughter.
Now, we're going to look at the historicism school of criticism. Hurston's and Morrison's work can best be understood when looked upon through the historicism school of criticism. This school of criticism looks at the time period a work was written in and what was happening politically and culturally during that time period.
Zora Neale Hurston demonstrates the school of criticism, historicism, through Their Eyes Were Watching God, as the setting of the plotline takes place in the South, in an all-African American community known as Eatonville. This particular town essentially reflects the similar qualities of Harlem. Additionally, Hurston exposes the evils of racism in which influenced social hierarchy and limited opportunities during this time period. Take a look at this quote here. Honey, the white man is the ruler of everything as far as been able to find out. Maybe it's someplace off in the ocean where the black man is in power, but we don't know nothing but what we see. So, the white man throw down the load and tell the nigger man to pick it up. He pick it up because he have to, but he don't tote it. He hand it to his womenfolk. The nigger woman is the mule of the world so far as can see. As you can see from this quote, not only does the author reveal the tensions of racism and illustrates white male dominance over black males, but Morrison entails the discrimination and horrors that black women endured during this time. The author additionally places emphasis on how black women were ranked at the lowest part of the social hierarchy, thus illustrating black women as mules of the world.
The book Beloved can be viewed from the historicism school of criticism by looking at one example of the effects of slavery and the time period in the story. This happens when a gang of people tries to enforce this Fugitive Slave Act of 1850. The gang goes out in search of the main character, Seath, and her children in order to abduct them and use them as slaves. Because of Seath's past as a slave, she kills her 2-year-old daughter when the gang comes for them to save her from the horrors of slavery. Beloved and Their Eyes Were Watching God should be viewed from the historicism school of criticism because the time periods of each of these stories play a huge role in each novel. Culture and politics of the post-Civil War era in Beloved and the early 20th century in Their Eyes Were Watching God are extremely prevalent and can be seen when racism appears in either novel. The idea of slavery also plays a big role in Beloved, while Jim Crow laws and racism in general heavily influence Their Eyes Were Watching God.
Ultimately, both of these breathtaking novels shine a light on the importance of African American history, creating a greater depth of appreciation for African American literature. Works like Hurston and Morrison remind us all to never forget the atrocities that derive from the pits of racism and to seek justice for equality.